Indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, finally again renewed their call for international inquiry into Southeast insecurity, accuses Nigerian government, Orji Uzor Kalu, Hope Uzodinma, Dave Umahi, and Nyesom Wike of orchestrating a cover-up into the unrest that is happening in our territory. Anyway, my wonderful people, viewers and subscribers, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the first Saturday in the year of 2026, and it is January 3. This is the message I brought to us, and I want us to pay our utmost attention as we listen to this very important clip that is coming from Family Writers Press International, as IPOB at the same time renews their call, telling the international community that they should come and investigate the insecurity in our land. I think that's an idiot old fool that called himself Orji Uzor Kalu. This is what he's supposed to have done. Instead of coming out to just making unguided statement and frivolous allegations against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of killing over 30 Biafrans in the course of 10 years, he has been orchestrated, or rather he has been agitating for the Biafra. According to him, I know Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started earlier 2011 or even 2010 or even 2009 when he led a protest in the UK. So anyway, let me not waste much of your time. I would like you to just pay attention as you listen to this very all important information from indigenous people of Biafra M branch, according to them. So please pay your utmost attention as we move ahead. As you're watching, kindly like, share, comment, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos that may come your way. Please follow us on all our social media handles, and my God must surely follow you in this 2026 to solve all your problems and to make them very easier for you to move ahead. So please, kindly listen and share.
Call for international inquiry into Southeast insecurity, accuses Nigerian government of orchestrating cover-up. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, a self-determination movement advocating for the independence of Biafra, has intensified its demand for an internationally supervised inquiry into the persistent insecurity plaguing the Southeast. In a strongly worded statement released on Friday, the group accused the Nigerian government and military of perpetuating a cover-up by falsely attributing violence to IPOB while ignoring alleged state-sponsored abuses and collusion with criminal elements. This call comes amid claims from military officials that security has improved following the imprisonment of key figures associated with the movement.
Let me just use this opportunity to denounce whatever background music sound that are being heard on this video. I have no right to the copyright of it. So please, YouTube robots should take note, and also the YouTube admins should also take note of this one ugly sound that I'm hearing at the background of this clip I'm playing to my people. So I'm only doing this just to make sure that my people get the news that they're required to on daily basis. So please disregard the background sound or noise that you are hearing on this video.
The statement, issued by IPOB spokesperson Emma Powerful, dismissed recent remarks by Major General Michael Onoja as recycled propaganda. Onoja had asserted that the incarceration of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria and self-proclaimed agitator Simon Ekpa in Finland has significantly weakened the group's operational capacity, leading to a reduction in crimes across the region. He credited sustained military operations and court rulings against IPOB leadership for the purported improvements. However, IPOB countered these claims, arguing that the government is evading accountability. For years, IPOB has publicly and repeatedly demanded a full, open, internationally supervised inquiry into the insecurity in the Southeast, headed by an impartial judge, preferably from South Africa, beyond the reach of Nigerian political manipulation, the statement read. The group questioned the military's confidence in its narrative, challenging authorities to present evidence under oath in the open, with witnesses protected and cross-examined. IPOB further accused politicians and security actors of cultivating militias and criminal gangs only to scapegoat the movement when violence escalates. They cited a litany of historical incidents as evidence of state violence against civilians, including the 2016 NK-4 killings on May 30th, the Aba National High School incident, the invasion of Kanu's home, the Zaria Shiite clashes, the Odi and Zaki Biam military operations, and the 2020 Lekki toll gate shootings. These were not security operations. They were state violence against unarmed civilians, Powerful stated. The group invoked past warnings from retired General Theophilus Danjuma, who alleged collusion between security forces and armed groups, questioning why current leaders appear to ignore such concerns. IPOB also lambasted Nigeria's major political parties, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and People's Democratic Party, PDP, for overseeing a nationwide collapse of security. In their demands, IPOB urged international bodies such as the United States, United Nations, African Union, and European Union to back an independent commission. They proposed a judge-led public inquiry chaired by a foreign jurist, with full access to security records, international oversight, and protections for whistleblowers.
As you are watching, my people, please help me to circulate this message. It needs to go viral. The international community really need to step in to ascertain the level of damages that the Nigerian government are causing in the Biafra territory using IPOB as a cover-up. You can as well agree with me that this December is the one of the most safest and celebrated December for a while, over a decade now. Why? Because they have already completed their mission of sending Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to jail. So they want to portray that image that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the cause of insecurity, whereas they are doing all those things to make sure that Nigerian government, or rather the international community, turn their back on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, citing that he is the reason why the southeast is boiling. Their assignments have been completed and delivered. So now they have removed their hands from the insecurity that is bedevering the southeast. Somewhere in Osu Itokwa, Osumogu, even Okigwe, you know, that have been a war zone, or rather a war-torn zone of recent, is now having a peaceful. I mean, they are not enjoying the peace, because to them now, you will be hearing people from that area who hated Mazi Nnamdi Kanu keep telling you, it is because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that we never come back home for the past 5 years, for the past 6 years, because of this, because of that. Forgetting that the people who are sponsoring all this, they are the reason why their village or their community have been bastardized by insecurity. Please continue listening as we proceed.
Additionally, they called for the immediate and unconditional release of Kanu, insisting that the government's refusal to allow scrutiny only fuels suspicions.
Of course.
If Nigeria has nothing to hide, it should welcome scrutiny.
Yes.
The statement concluded, adding that the regime is not afraid of IPOB, but afraid of being exposed.
I agree with you.
The Nigerian government has long designated IPOB as a terrorist organization, banning it in 2017 amid accusations of inciting violence to achieve Biafra. Officials maintain that IPOB's activities have contributed to unrest, including attacks on security personnel and infrastructure. However, IPOB has consistently denied involvement in violent acts, attributing them to criminal elements or state-sponsored infiltrators. Amid these escalating tensions, IPOB has repeatedly emphasized its commitment to non-violence as a core principle of its struggle for Biafran independence. Founded in 2012 by Nnamdi Kanu, the movement emerged as a revival of self-determination sentiments rooted in the 1967 to 1970 Nigerian Civil War, which claimed millions of lives in the Igbo-dominated Southeast. IPOB positions itself as a non-violent advocacy group focused on self-determination through peaceful means, such as protests, civil disobedience, and international diplomacy.
Yes.
Historically, IPOB began as a peaceful entity, organizing sit-at-home protests and rallies to highlight perceived marginalization of the Igbo people, including economic disparities and political exclusion. These sit-at-home actions, where residents are encouraged to stay indoors as a form of nonviolent resistance, have been a hallmark tactic, drawing comparisons to global movements like those led by Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. Supporters argue that this approach represents a revolution against persistent negligence and structural violence without resorting to arms. IPOB's nonviolent stance has garnered international attention and sympathy. For instance, the group maintains offices in over 90 countries and has been recognized in some quarters as a legitimate voice for self-determination. Kanu himself has advocated for dialogue, as evidenced by past interactions where journalists questioned the government's reluctance to engage IPOB in talks. In a 2023 statement, IPOB refuted terrorism allegations, insisting it remains one united family with no faction and a proven non-violent freedom movement. Recent social media posts from IPOB affiliates reinforce this, distancing the group from violence and attributing attacks to unaffiliated criminal groups or government-sponsored provocateurs. Despite these claims, IPOB's approach has faced significant criticisms and challenges. Analysts note that while the group started non-violently, it has evolved from a non-violent advocacy group to a militant ethno-nationalist movement in response to government crackdowns. The Nigerian government's heavy-handed tactics, including arrests, extrajudicial killings, and military operations, have been accused of provoking escalation. Reports from organizations like Amnesty International and the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada highlight that IPOB was non-violent at the beginning, but shifted tactics amid repression, with some factions allegedly turning to violence. Media portrayals have also been contentious. Studies suggest that newspaper headlines often delegitimize IPOB's nonviolent protests, framing sit-at-homes as disruptive or coercive rather than peaceful resistance. Critics, including government officials, point to incidents like attacks on police stations as evidence of IPOB's involvement in terrorism, though the group denies these, claiming infiltration by state agents. A 2023 DW analysis questioned whether dialogue could resolve the IPOB problem, noting the government's terrorist label, while acknowledging IPOB's nonviolent aspirations. Proponents of IPOB argue that nonviolence has earned the movement global respect, contrasting it with more militant groups. Research from sources like the Social Science Research Council suggests nonviolent options, such as political reforms addressing Igbo marginalization, could de-escalate tensions rather than military force. Despite criticisms, IPOB's persistence underscores the need for a non-violent approach from all sides, as highlighted in academic preprints. As insecurity continues in the southeast, with reports of kidnappings, clashes, and economic disruptions, IPOB's call for an inquiry could test international willingness to intervene.
So my people, I don't hear the message. This one is part of the message that was brought to us. And another one here is that of Nigeria weaponizes sovereignty to silence global outrage on targeted religious killings. So please grab your popcorn as we proceed in listening to this clip from Family Writers Press International. So please, let's go there. There's no time to waste.
In the volatile landscape of Nigeria's security crisis, the invocation of respect for sovereignty has long been a rallying cry for the government and northern leaders when faced with international scrutiny over the slaughter of Christians by groups like Boko Haram and its affiliates. As of early 2026, with fresh U.S. airstrikes highlighting the issue, this stance warrants sharp examination. Nigeria's northeast and northwest regions have been battlegrounds for over a decade, with Boko Haram now splintered into factions like the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, waging a brutal insurgency. Founded on extremist ideology opposing Western influences, the group has killed tens of thousands since 2009, displacing millions, targeting Christians and symbols of education. Christians, who make up about half of Nigeria's population, have suffered disproportionately in certain areas. Advocacy groups report over 60,000 Christian deaths linked to Islamist violence since the insurgency began, with attacks on churches and communities often framed as jihad. In 2025 alone, incidents included the June massacre of over 150 displaced people at a Catholic mission in central Nigeria, attributed to Fulani herder militias with alleged extremist ties, and Christmas season attacks by IS-affiliated groups in the northwest. The Nigerian government's response has been a patchwork of military operations, such as the multinational Joint Task Force with neighbors, but marred by inconsistencies and allegations of bias. Under President Bola Tinubu, officials have repeatedly denied targeted persecution, with statements in September 2025 claiming there's no religious persecution in Nigeria, despite evidence to the contrary. This denialism extends to rejecting U.S. designations of Nigeria as a country of particular concern for religious freedom violations, calling them fundamentally misinformed. Criticism is particularly deserved for the government's historical weaponization of sovereignty to fend off external help. In November 2025, when U.S. President Donald Trump threatened military intervention and aid cuts over alleged Christian killings, Nigeria dismissed the claims as a hoax and emphasized its sovereign right to handle internal affairs. Northern leaders, many from Muslim-majority states, have echoed this, often downplaying the slaughter of Christians and attributing violence to criminal elements or economic grievances. Policies like reintegrating repentant Boko Haram fighters into society without adequate justice for victims have drawn ire, as they risk emboldening extremists and eroding trust. This resistance has real consequences. Delayed action allows groups like Lakurawa, an emerging IS-linked faction in the northwest, to entrench themselves in ungoverned spaces, launching attacks that disproportionately hit Christian communities. By prioritizing sovereignty over collaboration, the government and northern elites have arguably enabled a cycle of violence through inaction, even if not through direct sponsorship. Accusations of complicity, such as claims of state support for herder militias, lack concrete proof, but the failure to prosecute perpetrators fuels perceptions of bias. The narrative shifted dramatically on December 25, 2025, when the U.S. conducted airstrikes against IS targets in Nigeria's Sokoto state, killing multiple militants in perfect strikes. Trump framed this as a response to Christian persecution, following weeks of threats. Crucially, Nigeria under pressure cooperated, providing intelligence and approving the operation to avert unilateral U.S. action, aligning with mutual respect for sovereignty and international law. Nigerian Catholic leaders offered mixed reactions. Some welcomed the strikes as a blow to terrorists, while others cautioned against escalating foreign involvement. This cooperation is a positive step, but it came only under intense pressure, highlighting a pattern of reactive rather than proactive governance. Why did it take threats of invasion for Nigeria to fully engage? Northern leaders' earlier defenses of sovereignty now appear selective, especially as the strikes targeted threats affecting all Nigerians. U.S. measures like visa restrictions and religious freedom designations underscore global frustration with Nigeria's slow response. The Nigerian government and northern leaders must be held accountable for years of using sovereignty as a barrier to effective aid, prolonging a crisis that has claimed countless lives. Their denials and delays have enabled genocide.
So that is the message. Very simple and a little bit longer, but I will urge you to watch this message from beginning to the end. You will understand the whole thing line by line. So have a nice day and have a nice weekend. Have a nice Saturday. May the good Lord continue to bless you and meet you at a point of your needs. Please like, share, comment, and keep subscribing for more interesting videos. Kiemesiano, a wonderful people.